You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Our big focus this hour, China this week will be holding the second conference of its Indian Ocean Region Forum, an initiative to bring together several countries in the region in an attempt to solidify its influence in the strategic waters adjacent to India's backyard. Last year, the China International Development Cooperation Agency, an organization part of the ruling Communist Party of China's leadership group, held a meeting of the China-Indian Ocean Region Forum on Development Cooperation in Kunming. Well, the CIDCA claimed 19 countries took part in the conference. The Chinese forum is apparently aimed at countering India's strong influence in the Indian Ocean region, where India backed organizations like the Indian Ocean RIM Association. While there is no official announcement about the meeting, an official press release put out by the Maldives President's office said their Vice President will take part in the forum. Captain Shyam Kumar, Indian Navy warship captain, is joining us live. We also have Major General Shashi Asthana, former Additional DG Infantry. Also with us is Anshu Joshi, India-China relations expert, and Robinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, is also joining us live. Captain Shyam Kumar, let me begin with you first on what you make of this strategy by China in the location of this conference and who all they are planning to invite.
Thank you. This Indian Oceanic region has become a center of gravity. Day by day, we are seeing the activities and influence of other countries in this area. India is strategically located at the right place, striding across this Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean. Now, it is important for us to take a note of growing influence of China, who is trying to carry out such forums in backyard of our country. And so far, after the Kunming's declaration of the first summit which happened in China, southwest China, there has not been a clear indication of when it is going to happen. I think it happened on 21st November 2022. It's 1 year now, and we have got an indirect indication of this happening when the Vice President of Maldives has spoken about it. Wherever it happens, see the country like all the neighboring countries, including the Nepal, Bhutan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, all this Maldives for that matter, Sri Lanka, they all are part of this, including some African countries and also Middle East or East Gulf countries for that matter, Iran, Oman, etc. So obviously, China is trying to say that it is a blue economy, shared perspective of growth of the whole region, etc. But they are also talking about maritime Silk route of China, One Belt, One Road initiative, development plans of China, which is happening. India is looking at these aspects very carefully. Although it is an established fact that we have the Indian Ocean Rim Association, which is the very, very grounded and firmed organization in this region, which is being regularly attended by people. The Sagar initiative of the Prime Minister in last 2015-16 onward also has been another forum. Indian Naval Symposium, which is being organized regularly to get across all the navies of this region, are the clear attempts of thwarting any influence of China in our regions. So we have to look at it when this is going to happen, whether he chooses a place out of China in one of the countries or Southeast Asian countries for that matter, or where does the China find its foothold, including Djibouti for that matter. So we have to see whether it's in African coast or in the center, or maybe Myanmar could be Southeast countries. So when it is hosted and the dates are firmed up, we will have to look at it. We have to keep a good eye on it, and definitely I don't think China is looking beyond much more in this, because we have even a Pacific region, a bilateral or multilateral quad kind of organization, which China calls it a ocean foam for that matter, and he feels that it will wash away. But I'm sure it's not going to wash away. We are expanding our reach, multilateral cooperations, and we are watching China's expansion with a very good vigil. And we are going to Cambodia, not even in this area. We are referring China from that region also. So whether it is the Middle East, Cambodia, Greece, Turkey, or northern regions of polar regions of the China. We are looking all around, including Japan, of course, and South Korea. Vietnam, for that matter. So we'll have to watch on this. Thank you.
All right. Let me, in fact, quickly bring in Rabinder Sachdev as well. Rabinder, obviously, what will also raise eyebrows is the Maldives VP's presence reportedly at this conference, at this summit. Is this yet another sign of the growing closeness between the Maldives and China?
Thank you, Uday. Yeah, of course it is. I mean, and with the election of this new president or the change of the regime in Maldives, I mean, to all intents and purposes, this was supposed to happen and this seems to be happening. So there's a tug of war, though. I mean, Maldives has slightly toned down its, unhappiness with India's stance, so to say. But in the overall, it's definitely getting more and more attracted towards China. They just had a visit of a special envoy from China for trade and investments. So all of that. So China is definitely looking to, deepen its hook in Maldives. And as, can be seen, which is happening. See, one of these Indian Ocean rim countries, or so to say, and all. Then this, you also got, by the way, the Pacific Islands. That's another grouping. So what's happening in the whole of this Indian Ocean and in the Asia Pacific is that not in a way I would say of land grab, but let's say building deeper and entangling partnerships and alliances with all these countries. I think that's the kind of a race which is out there right now. China is, of course, leading it. And of course, the US is now catching up also. US is getting very proactive. And we are also getting much proactive. But yeah, bottom line, it also depends upon the economic strength. How much money do we bring to the table? Because these are now getting to be, hard decisions backed with hard money in whatever you're doing. Definitely, yes, soft diplomacy can take you so far, but along with it, you need to have bags of money to undertake some projects. That seems to be very clear signal coming out from all of these. And lastly, in a certain way, in fact, I was reading today an article in the Wall Street Journal, a very interesting one, though we've talked about it often, but this was an interesting, summary in this article, wherein, China growing its navy and its ability to manufacture or produce warships and nuclear submarines and is vastly ahead of the United States now. The United States, industrial infrastructure has hollowed out, bottomed out. And even if the US is throwing money, they are not able to, ramp up their navy and forget the navy. Even others, their javelins and stingers, because the industrial lines were shuttered down or mothballed and kept. So getting them back up. So America is facing a huge pressure on its industrial supply chain. And that is something which will play out at least the next 5 to 6 odd years in this region, that American Navy will take a while to catch up now with China, given the pace at which China is at least producing. Their technology may be a bit older or, may not be up to the mark. Their nuclear submarines may be a bit noisier than the advanced American ones. But hey, in wars, it's the quantity which counts, maybe also not only the quality, right? As we are seeing in these, especially the Russia-Ukraine war. So overall, this region is, I think, heating up without doubt, and preparations and partnerships and alliances.
All right. Let me, in fact, also quickly bring in at this point Anshu Joshi into the conversation. Anshu Joshi, what all do you believe will be on the agenda of this particular forum, this second edition of it? What all do you believe will be discussed? What is the thought, the strategy behind the Chinese holding this forum in the first place?
Uday, thank you for asking this question. First and foremost, we all must understand that this Indian Ocean region holds a great trade and strategic significance. And there are certain routes, certain checkpoints, like the Malacca route, from where this oil transit takes place. So apart from the core stakeholder countries of Indian Ocean region, some extra region countries also have great interest in this particular region because of its strategic and trade importance. Then, considering this importance, we already know the expansionist imperialistic agenda of China. We all know what China has done in Indo-Pacific in past couple of years. We also know about its asymmetric rise. Now, considering this, from last year, China's important development aid agency, China International Development Cooperation Agency or CIDCA, organized this first Indian Ocean Region Forum. And it invited countries like Nepal and Maldives and Afghanistan and Iran and Oman and Pakistan and Myanmar and Sri Lanka and Kenya and Mozambique. So all in all, we can say that there were 19 countries, but later Maldives and Australia denied the reports of any official participation in this first forum. And the focus of this forum is supposed to be on promoting, development in the region and promoting blue economy and all goody agenda China is talking about. But we all know that what actually China hides behind such kind of, luring statements. So China's officials have already spoken in the first forum that this particular forum would be focused on similar agenda, what China follows for the Belt and Road Initiative and Maritime Silk Road and so on. So when this Belt and Road Initiative comes into the picture as an example, we can make out that after playing the game of dead diplomacy, from using the umbrella of Belt and Road Initiative, now China has opened this new theater, and of course this will not be perceived in a positive sense by most of those countries who already understands China's expansive strategy.
Right. Let me also, in fact, quickly ask Major General Shashi Asthana on, on this closeness between the Maldives and China. Is this, these signs that Muizzu is going to make the same mistakes that Yamin did? Are these signs that once again Maldives is going to cozy up to the Chinese? Have they learnt no lessons? Do they not see what has happened to other nations who have unfortunately, dealt with China, become close to them, taken money, and then, and then seen what happens after when they get caught in that debt trap? What explains this closeness, and do you see things going down the earlier Maldives route?
I see things going down the earlier Maldives route for many reasons. One is the present president is also a follower of Yamin. Secondly, the fact that he started off with India Out campaign, and he actually was campaigning in election also as an election agenda. It appears that his even election campaign may have been, there are speculations that it may have been funded by some outside agency without naming it so. So therefore, he may perhaps be obliged, and that's the only reason where he would have said that India should move its air assets, which are actually the air assets are a security guarantee for the tourists, and they are more for evacuation and not show of force, that emergency evacuation. So that's one part of it. Secondly, let me touch upon a little broader picture. See, India is the only country in the world which has an ocean named against it. And Chinese are quite jealous of it, and they have been saying that Indian Ocean is not India's ocean. And therefore, they would like to expand, and they would like to perhaps make more bases, because they are competing with the United States and competing to become an expansionist world power. In that context, they would like to have more bases. Now, they are also very conscious of the fact that their entire coastline, firstly, they have a bad geography in a manner that they have a long supply chain or route of supply and lines of communication, and especially for the oil, and they have a choke points like Malacca Strait and things like that. And therefore, they would like to have better routes into Indian Ocean in some manner or the other and secure more routes. And one of the measures of doing so is having more bases. Now, you would have seen even in this the topic today, when you're talking about this CIDCA organizing this meeting, there are many countries who do not have a coastline in Indian Ocean, but they are being called for this forum. So the impact, the indirect impact is that they are basically looking for more influence in South Asia. So it is not only linked to Indian Ocean, it is also linked to the overall picture of dominating the South Asia and gaining more influence. So that's another issue. The third thing is that if, as compared to US has got about 600 odd bases and they've got bases all around China. They want to, and when we talk of the global economic center of gravity shifting to Indo-Pacific, Indo-Pacific becomes important. The other issue is that the grouping which they are calling for the meeting, it does not include France. Now, France is a residential power of Indian Ocean. And therefore, I come to my last point, that what should India be doing? We also need to build up our capacity building, because some part has already been covered by Shyam. So we are doing that, number one. Number two, we have to work it out with the Quad and other partners. We also have to work it out with France, because France is one partner which is a resident partner in Indian Ocean and has also got a fair amount of naval assets. And we have the common interest. So even in Quad, the broad division is generally, what is the general understanding is that Japan, Australia and US, they look after the Pacific portion of the Quad, and we look after Malacca Strait and the Indian Ocean of the Quad. That is the general understanding if we have to divide the assets, because China has grown a large number of assets. So this is, with this I think we partner with France, and we are also making a pitch that it should be a broader Quad. So in that context, I think we have strategies in place by which we can take care of what China is doing as far as its expansionist design is concerned, as far as its greedy eyes toward Indian Ocean is concerned, and as far as it's trying to gain influence in South Asia is concerned. And mind you, we have also been quite proactive, as somebody mentioned. We have been into Vietnam. We are looking at, we have also sent assets. Show of force has also been there. Maritime domain awareness is also there. We've got certain logistic MOUs with some of the countries in Pacific, in the neighborhood of China. So therefore, it's not that we are also proactive, and I'm sure they also must be having a debate of this kind whenever we sign a deal of this kind with any of the countries in Southeast Asia. So that's how I think this is a contestation. Indian Ocean will become a zone of contestation. It is already so, and we will have to contest our part. Uday.
All right. Let me, in fact, quickly take that across back to Captain Shyamkumar on how India should be looking at this forum, this strategy meeting. What all is expected to be discussed during it by the Chinese and their invitees.
Well, China is tacitly using this platform for very different regions, as we all know this, and we have understood this, the world has understood this. The debt trapping allegations of China in last 5 years at Maldives. In fact, this announcement or intention of this CIDCA was actually when the foreign minister of China visited Maldives in January 2022. It started there actually. And you see, that is why it has got many of the Maldives connection coming up. And today we are talking because the vice president has talked that he's going to attend it. This is all Maldives and China connection, lingering around. Having said that, China is going to look at it, and that the agenda which is being heard about it is this climate, blue water economy, sharing of collective responsibility, and security in the regions, things like sharing of resources among the people, nations of this country in the whole region, so on and so forth. But the background of it, the president of CIDCA being an ex-ambassador to India, and also has been the vice foreign minister of China, and since it is a Communist Party of China's organization which is responsible for advising them on strategy, on the world economy, etc. Obviously, this has got double game, and they are looking at this agenda with a background of MSR, that is the Maritime Silk Route, One World, One Road initiative, Now I have got 2-3 points, quick points to say this. China's PLA Navy's growing presence and the capability building which has been talked about, it is phenomenal. And you see their destroyer class ships, spy ships, surveillance aircrafts, submarines on patrol are the cause of concern for India. So they are flexing their military muscles. They are also flexing their economy muscles in this region by getting these countries together. Although it is just 2 years old story, but it is basically countering the Indo-Pacific initiatives of India, Indo-Ocean Rim Association of India, Quad, etc., etc. India, Middle East, Europe corridor. We are looking at that from us to Middle East to Israel to Europe. And our Prime Minister visits to Greece, Turkey in the Mediterranean, in that area, Middle East countries, which we have never visited for very long. And I was talking about Cambodia, actually, I was also talking, did not mention about Mongolia. So Prime Minister visited Mongolia. So look at this peripheral, whether if the China, second point I have this, China is increasing its base capability. It's got aircraft carrier, it's got outreach now to come to us. Very soon there could be an aircraft carrier coming to Indian Ocean, and Djibouti is the first base for them. And they are likely to try it to sustain a carrier operation in Indian Ocean. Very, very worrisome for us. But we have to thwart this attempt. We have to counter these attempts by multilateral agreements up to Pacific and taking African coast into context. So therefore, our presence is all over. We are into the Pacific also. Our elements are in Mediterranean Sea today. We are looking at Latin American countries, African, West and East Coast both. And we are, you have seen our defense expo, we have seen our African Union coming to us, very compact manner. Defense agreements are happening with these countries. I'm sure China's agenda is hidden, but India is transparent, and we are force for friendship. We are not friend for force. So people understand this. Global South, African and Latin American countries together with USA, Japan, Australia coming up in the Quad grouping, I think we will be able to maintain our presence and stronghold in India, African and Pacific regions. Uday, back to you.
How should though India handle this growing closeness of the Maldives with China, Anshu?
Uday, a very good question. I would say that, see, there is a change in Maldives political government and control. And that's why we can see that proximity between Maldives and China is increasing day by day. But on the other hand, we should not forget that India is practicing Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And under this vision, with this philosophy, we are trying to gather our regional partners in this particular region with a spirit to promote economic capabilities and improving maritime security. So you look at the Sagar mission announced by our Honorable Prime Minister Modi in 2015. So this Sagar is the security and growth for all, and this aims to strengthen economic relations and development in Indian Ocean region. And considering this, with the help of multilateral build-up and multilateral support, we can definitely tackle this, bilateral issue of growing relations or proximity between Maldives and China. And on the other hand, with a positive development agenda, not only Maldives, I would say that we can also give a message to China to opt for this positive agenda, because China is already a dialogue partner of this IORA, where India holds a great significance, and India keeps promoting various programs from IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. So considering this, I would say that through multilateralism and by promoting other partners, other nations in the region, working with them, we can definitely find a solution to this issue.
Yes, absolutely. Let me, in fact, quickly take that across to to Mijan Lasthana as well. Mijan Lasthana, what makes the Indian Ocean region so important for the Chinese that they continue to focus on this area? They continue to try and expand their footprint at every, given chance or juncture.
Their sea lines of communication and their energy lines of communication pass through Indian Ocean. And they have no choice, but their dependence on this is something which they just can't help it. They have to, considering their size and the size of their economy, they need oil from Gulf countries too. Even if they get whatever amount they get from Russia, that may be a different issue. And also, irrespective of whether they make the China-Pakistan economic corridor or Myanmar economic corridor, the cost of transshipment of oil by sea is much cheaper. It works out to about 5:1, even if they transship, even if they use those corridors. So a rough calculation works out that 80% of the oil still has to pass through Malacca Strait. And if they use any other strait like Lombok Strait and or Sunda Strait and all, the cost increases because the distance increases. So therefore, they all have worked it out, and they know that without Malacca Strait, without having some kind of support, now they are very conscious that India can block it, USA can block it. Now, what is the answer? So therefore, they are looking at, okay, let's have Hambantota port, let's have some base, let's have some other, we used to call it as string of pearls strategy. But then the fact is that there are a whole lot of pearls around China too. So it works both ways. But the fact is that the importance is basically sea lines of communication for them. And it is also one of the busiest trade corridor. And also the amount of resources, it is an underexploited ocean where there are far too many resources. Even I keep calling, when we talk of Indian growth, we have the best of the coastline with minimum choke points, but we have not been able to exploit it. It has got tremendous potential. And China also wants to make some use of perhaps the resources in Indian Ocean if they can. So this is how, that's why the Indian Ocean becomes quite important to them.
Yes, let me in fact quickly also leave the last word then to Robinder Sachdev. Let's get his closing comment. Robinder.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think all the esteemed panelists have wrapped it up so beautifully that I will be doing injustice and taking away. But yes, I mean, Indian Ocean important for the various reasons General Asthana and everybody has been saying. Moral for us is to engage more, do multiple touch points, network entangling alliances kind of thing. And last one point, for quite some years, I've been actually arguing that India should develop something like the US has, a Peace Corps. What it does is that, fine, those guys do something internationally, but have large numbers of youth and all who go to these developing countries and help them out as teachers, healthcare, etc. at minimal or some such wages, which takes care of some of our employment needs. Also, at the same time, it gets our people out there doing things at a nominal rate. I mean, nothing for free, no free lunches, but at the same time helping these countries in the developing regions.
All right, let me in fact quickly thank all our guests at this juncture for joining us on this very interesting discussion, and slip into a short break. My thanks to our viewers as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.